thing that has been driving me since then is to really find that purpose and to really get to understand what God's intention for my life really is. I think there needs to be improvement of the game, first from the players level,
Yes.
improvement in skills. The more players we have with higher skill level, the better the game becomes. The federation might have a fan base, but the fan base is not created by the federation.
Yes.
Nobody goes to watch the English Premier League. I'll continue to hammer that in. People watch teams, but not just teams. People follow teams. But at the same
Yes.
time, people watch players. People will go to the stadium to watch a player and then watch them playing in their team. But people will not necessarily be going to watch English Premier League.
Yeah.
So
True.
people need to understand that creating a fan base for the federation is not necessarily the federation's role only.
What is your hope for Kenyan basketball?
Wow.
What is your hope?
Collins, that's a trick question. Wow.
What do you hope to see? Yeah.
Might take that journey inside.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Collins Odhiambo, and welcome to another episode of Hoop Diaries. Today, we're going to explore the amazing journey of Angela. And man, first off, Angie is somebody that I've learned from, somebody that has been a coach. Nikicheza hapo aviation, zile siku Benolude kukua, you are a coach hapo. I've seen you coach the ladies. We've actually worked out together, so it's actually it's a honor to have you on the show. And man, today we're going to have Angie on the show. She's a former national team captain, and right now she's KBF's first female secretary general, and an influential figure shaping the sports future in this country. So from overcoming a tragic accident to leading on and off the court, Angela shares hard-won lessons and bold vision, and she has a bold vision for Kenya's basketball growth. So get ready for an inspiring conversation about resilience and leadership and the future of the game in our country. So Angie, karibu sana kwa show.
Thank you, Collins. Thank you very much. It's also an honor to be able to sit in this forum with you and to be able just to share some of my experiences on basketball. And like you said, on and off the court. So I'm really privileged to be here.
Welcome. Before we even go into your diary, we have to start from, the beginning, where everything started. And the best way I've found to maybe ask this question is, what are some things, what is something we need to know about you to understand the person sitting before us today?
First of all, Angela is a very resilient person and focused, and I think about the future more than the present, quite a lot in a number of things. And so sometimes people might not see exactly what I'm seeing for the future, for example, for the future of the game. But I always think twice before I take any steps. But I'm also quite a big risk taker in terms of when I'm thinking about a lot of things. And so you'll see my journey through basketball has had a number of risks, but has also had a number of preparations for me for future positions that I hold. So
Mm.
I try to sort of find the balance between those two. But also, one of the things that I am really, really focused on as a person, even at work, and also I try as much as possible in basketball, is believing in getting the impossibilities done.
Nice, nice. And that is interesting. You said you focus more on the future than the present, and I've had what I've come to learn also is the importance of being present each and every day. Like I think even like in a game, I think if you are thinking about, oh, will I win or will I lose, it's more of, I'm in the present. But you said an important thing there. You said in some things. So I don't know. Maybe you can give us one thing that you don't focus on it in terms of the present. You look at it in terms of the future.
I look at, for example, basketball right now, and yes, we are where we are, and we're doing what we can with what we have. But I also try to look at where we could be in the next 2 years, where we could be in the next 4 years, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. And so you'll probably find that sometimes I'll give just like a really, really practical example is why, for example, are we concentrating on the current U16? Is really because we're looking at, in the next 2 to 3 years, who are going to be coming into the national team and at what age group. So with that, it's about making sure that we are rebuilding for the future, making sure that we are getting the players the right exposure levels right now, rather than waiting for when they're 18 or waiting for when they're getting into 20 to start focusing on them. It's, for example, why we took a bold decision in 2024 with the Africa Cup team to say that, we've had players there who have done pretty well for the country. But we need to look at, if we're going to look at 2028 LA Olympics, what age group of players are we then going to focus on? And that's why even this year we looked for all possibilities to make sure that both our under 21 and our under 23 were competing in the African Nations League. Why? Because we are looking at come 2027, when the last Africa Cup in terms of qualification into LA 2028 is going to be happening, how old are these players going to be? So people might not understand why some of the things that are being done the way they're being done. But it's really because we are trying to look at the future. Yes, there's the present, but what's in it for us for the future? So I'm a very objective person, and I'm someone who tries to look at things from practicality as much as possible. So you'll find sometimes, even when I'm making decisions, might not necessarily be very popular, but it's really because of looking at it from objectively from all angles, and trying to understand what that specific decision is going to do going into the future. So if
Nice.
people want to understand me, it's really just because I don't look at things from the surface of things. I look at things mostly from the deeper side of things, and what the implications of some of the decisions that are done or that are made, especially from my end, what the implications would be.
Nice. So it's like you have a future vision or goal where you want to be, and then now it's like you're working backwards. So
Yeah.
I think that one now makes a lot of sense. And now jumping from the future, we go back to your past a little bit. Even though somehow, because I know you, I think we've had another conversation in another show that I had some time back, but I know there are a lot of people who maybe don't know your story. And of course, we don't like to go back into this, tragic things that happened in our lives, but I feel like they act as a defining moment, especially if you're still here up to this time. It's not something that you'll just forget. It happened, but it must have had some form of impact in defining and creating the person that is in front of us today. So maybe if you can take us back to the accident, you can just talk about it in brief, and then how it affected you and how your journey to recovery has helped you grow, physically and mentally.
Yeah. First of all, just to, I know most of the times people try to go back to that specific incident in my life, and
Yeah.
for me, it was the defining moment came really with the realization of having lost, my 5 teammates as well as the coach,
Mm,
and
mm,
and and really first to thank God for the second chance at life. And with
mm,
that comes the realization that God really has a purpose for me, and has a
mm.
purpose for each and every one of us in our
Yeah.
lives. And the thing that has been driving me since then is to really find that purpose and to really get to understand what
Mm,
God's intention for my life really is, and
mm,
and what my purpose in life is supposed to be. And
mm,
with that, I look for opportunities and for moments where I can be able to define my purpose and define my
mm.
purpose in this world.
Mm.
It's not an easy thing,
Yeah.
and sometimes it keeps changing, um,
Yeah.
from as you grow older, as you move
True.
along,
Mm,
careers, as you move along, my sports journey. I keep
mm,
realizing that my purpose, in some instances, I manage to fulfill certain purposes, and then
mm.
I step away from that and move into the next phase of my life, where I then start looking again for what that purpose in that next phase is. So I'm
Yeah.
always searching. I'm always looking for the opportunities. I'm always trying to figure out what I can be able to do to just make life better, not only for
Mm.
myself but for the people around me. So
Yeah.
for me, it's that purpose. What's the purpose? What's your purpose in life? And
Mm.
why does God have you here? And
Yeah.
and what exactly should you be doing at certain moments in life to be able to fulfill your purpose? And for
Mm.
me, that has mostly been the lesson that I really picked out of that. But just going back also to that accident,
Mm.
apart from really, thanking God and finding my purpose in life, I think one of the things that also taught me was the power of a support system, and
Mm.
what can be done with, when people work together towards a certain goal.
Yeah.
And because during that time, um, even for me in the recovery process, it
Mhm.
was it was not necessarily my own doing to get better, but there's many people who came in to support, to give me a supporting cast for me to be able to get back to playing, for me to be able to recover my health, for me to
Mm.
be able then to start finding back my footing. So the power of having a proper support system at different points in your life is very important to be able to help you grow yourself, grow into the next phase of your life, to be able to get into the next fulfillment of your goals. So for me, that's one of the other things that that really defined what it means to work collaboratively and what it means to have a support system behind you. I talked about impossibilities being possible
Yeah.
at the beginning, and for me, that's another thing. It wasn't easy, obviously, getting back from mentally,
Yeah.
getting, recovering mentally. It needed mental strength to be able to get my footing back into the basketball space,
Yeah.
and with that also came moments of when people thought it was not possible for certain things to happen in my life, and I kept on telling myself, this is these are those moments you have to, I have to make it back. Yes, for myself, but I also need to test the limits of my mental strength and to test the limits of what can be possible. So much as much as certain things can happen to you in life, and for me it's always about, so what's the next thing? So how do you recover from it? How do you get back even when everybody thinks that you cannot be able to get back? What can you be able to do about that? Because those moments, like I said, it needed a lot of mental strength. It needed a lot of
Yeah.
physical strength. It wasn't easy for me. I used to wake up in the morning, hit the gym. I think for almost 2 to 3 years, I hit the gym consistently each and every day,
Wow.
just to get my body first back into shape, and then also to be able to get myself mentally prepared for when I would get back on court. And I want to thank God because even in those very difficult and defining moments, I could be able to turn to God. And also over and above that was for me to have that strength with the support system that I had to be able to get back on track and to be able to get back on court. So for me, it's the three things that really, really redefined the person that I was and the person that I am.
Nice. And I can actually say I've watched you play, and I can attest that I think during that period of recovery you actually built strength. Because remember, we used to laugh at times when you guys were playing storms, and maybe there's another girl guarding you or something. You could easily like just shove them off. You're not even pushing. Wameingia kwa target, wamepatana tu na wewe, and they bounce off. We used to laugh about that thing, na akina Jobiso hapo na akina Mavo. You're like, wa Anji yako na nguvu. It's like they're trying to pressurize you, but it's like even they're not there. You're just playing your game. So it's like your strength ilikuja. And also think like being able to go through that, and then you're able to come back, you're able to play, and you're not just playing like a supportive role. No, you're actually playing a lot of minutes and everything. I feel like that one also gave you like a strong mindset. Unajua venye umesema tu, turning the impossibilities to possibilities. So it's like that affects you in your life. So whatever you're doing from that moment on, you're like, ikitu ni challenge. It is possible. I know where I've come from. So such things in our lives actually help us in other situations. It's a tragedy, but when you come and turn it around, you look back and say, and yeah, God was preparing me for some things that I'm going to experience in the future. You know. ever since I knew you, you've been playing the point guard position, and I know that since you're focused on the future, and my main goal with this show is actually the future players learning from the current and even the past players. So it's like you're going into your diary and you're giving us some tips here and there. So now, because you've been playing the point guard position, we start with skills. What are some skills that you feel like as a point guard you should have?
Wow. First of all, just apart from bringing down the ball and bringing it down safely, let's use
Okay.
that word, safely, and being able to distribute the ball and being able to be a scorer and being able to to score from whether you're taking the ball in or you're shooting the ball. One of the other things really is leadership, and especially leadership on the court. Because as a point guard, like they say, you're an extension of the coach on the court. So it's about communication, taking up the lead role in how the offense should play, how the defense should play and should react. Leading the players into being better players for themselves also. Because as the point guard, you're also expected to know each and every player that you're playing with in really different ways. Who scores from what position, and when is the right time to give the ball to the different players on the court, and just being able to make the players be the best of themselves while they're on the court. Because as a point guard, just apart from, like I said, scoring, etc., is really to make sure that you can be able to control the tempo of the game, to control the players, to control also, the opponents. So you should be able to know the opponent. You should be able to know your teammates. And that's a really critical part of also being a point guard, because then you need to be able to be anticipating what's going to happen in the next possession. You should be able to be anticipating what's going to happen, what the opponents might do, even as you're playing. So it's really a position where you really have to take leadership, you really have to communicate, you really have to understand the game and understand each and every player on the court at the different times on the court. You should also be able to switch different plays at certain moments. So not just understanding the opponents and also your teammates, but also being able to understand at what point the tempo of the game should be changing. So it's a really critical role, and it's not just about scoring and and bringing the ball down safely. It's really being that extension of the coach on the court. Yeah. So that leadership is really critical for anyone looking to playing point position, and being able to be successful in the point position, at the point guard position.
One thing that you've talked about right there is the idea that you should be able to anticipate. Number one, you should know your teammates, know your opponents, and anticipate like what is about to happen, what can happen. So I feel like, and I want to get your point on this. I feel like that is being adaptable. I once I learned that, I was like, and actually learned about it later. But once I learned about that idea of being adaptable, it made the point guard position a little bit more fun to play. So I think what you're, and I want to get your point on this. because that's how I look at it. I think for you to play the point guard position, you have to be highly adaptable. Kwa sababu kuna saa zingine, you don't need to call a play. You know, like, ishike iende. Because I feel like some people think that point guard ni kuja tu na ball, wewe utulete mpira, call a play, and then you let us do our thing. But also as a point guard, you need to be adaptable. What do you think about that? Like, you have to be, like, I think the best point guard are like very adaptable. You're quick decision making na kuweza kuchange vitu saizo on the spot. What do you think about that?
Yes, absolutely. Because you really need to be adapting to the different situations that are offered to you on the court. And it's quick decision making also. And when it comes to quick decision making, it's about that split second of, that split second decision that you need to make for something to happen or not to happen. So like you said, I totally agree with you. You really have to be adaptable, and you have to always be reading the next move and be willing to learn, and be willing to be coachable, and be willing to change things from the way that you work or you play.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like this is what I've seen. Isn't nasema ni what I've seen. The point guards that we look at, like Saizi Schroeder, who ni one of the players that I follow now, kabisa, because I like how he plays, especially these games of FIBA. The way he leads the team, he's calm. Tukienda NBA, people like Chris Paul or Tony Parker. What I've come to also see, and I'm preaching this, is for you to be that good point guard that people will look at and say, hey, huyu jamani point guard mnoma. What people don't talk about is he's leading a team that is willing to be led. Because I don't think you can be a great point guard if this player has his own idea or philosophy. Ukiita hii play, huyu jamaa anafanya kitu yake. And from your own experience, that is very frustrating. Like, if you want me to point and we are not on the same page, I don't know if you ever experienced that. It's very frustrating. So umeita hii play, jamaa ameenda mambo yake.
But then again, as a point guard, like I said, that leadership role is very key, because then you should be able to understand, and you are the one who should really be able to bring people back to be on the same page. Yes, the coach can teach all he can, or all she can, but once you get onto the court, it's really sometimes the point guard who can be able to get everyone who's on the court back into that space of where everybody should be. And sometimes you'll see that if a point guard is just playing on their own, and I'm dribbling the ball, I'm bringing it down, I want to do my own thing, I'm not considerate of the opportunities for the other players, what will tend to happen is everybody will start playing on their own, and it will become too individualistic. Let's just remember that basketball, much as there's individual skill, there's also the team spirit within the individual skill that should be there.
Yeah, very true. Very true. I totally agree. Maybe if you go back to your days, playing, and you've had some experience with the federation, and there's this thing we talked about it, I think, last time in 1999 when there was this political division, and we had some challenges with the federation, and I feel like even right now you're part of the federation, but there are some challenges here and there. In fact, I actually did some research and found out that even the other federations in other sports have a lot of challenges. So what do you feel like, as a person who's now in the midst of the federation, what are some things that you feel like we need to improve on as the basketball family to enable the basketball to grow in our country right now, from your own experience?
Wow, that's a very broad question, and I'll try to bring it slightly home. First of all, before I go on to the federation, I think there needs to be improvement of the game, first from the players level,
Yes.
improvement in skills, and when there's improvement in skills and skills development, what tends to happen is the more players we have with higher skill level, the better the game becomes, and the better people want to come and watch basketball. So I'll start from players. There needs to be improvement on skill development and consistency with the skill development, because consistency in the players wanting to improve themselves and to improve their game. And then I'll move on to teams. There needs to be improvement when it comes to management of teams, from the team administration space, and also trying to professionalize as much as possible, to whatever extent that can happen, of teams. And then when it comes from there, it then moves back into the federation, and it goes back to the coaches, and the coaches is about improving their level also, their level of coaching, and wanting to be able to learn each and every day, because learning is a continuous process, and nobody has nobody can say that they have learned enough of anything in life. So we need to be able to be flexible enough to for coaches to want to learn, and to want to learn new methods of coaching, to want to learn new ways of handling players, because remember also, with every generational change, there's differences in the way that you can handle matters, and in ways that you can coach or train the players that are upcoming. So it's about getting to understand what are the current coaching methods, what methods can you use that are going to be effective. And then moving on from there is also now, when I've talked about teams, one of the greatest things I've always told a number of people who've asked me about promoting, about having a fan base, I have consistently told people, having a fan base, the federation might have a fan base, but the fan base is not created by the federation.
Yes.
Nobody goes to watch the English Premier League. I'll continue to hammer that in. People watch teams, but not just teams. People follow teams. But at the same time, people watch players. People will go to the stadium to watch a player, and then watch them playing in their team. But people will not necessarily be going to watch English Premier League. So
True.
people need to understand that creating a fan base for the federation is not necessarily the federation's role only. That role comes all the way from players, because I would be coming to Nyayo to watch Colin play. And Colin plays for Nairobi City Thunder. And so I follow Nairobi City Thunder because I like the way Colin plays. And because of that, then I can come to watch basketball games. So it's a trickle-down effect of everything that we are speaking about. It's not just about the federation should create a fan base. The fan base should be created by the players and the teams. And that's something that has been a challenge for us. And I think Right now, if you start seeing from the activities that have been happening in basketball the last maybe 6 to 8 months or so, is as every team is trying to create their fan base and trying now to develop their fan base, then we are getting now a fan base as basketball. So those are some of the things that sometimes people don't really understand it from the intricacies of what it should be, but people want to say KBF does not have fans, bring fans. KBF cannot bring fans to watch Colin if they don't know Colin and they don't know what Colin can do. So Colin needs to be able to make people want to watch him for KBF to uplift Colin or to expose Collins, and so then expose the game of Colin. So it's a trickle-down effect. Now I'm moving on from teams, and there's a lot that we can go on about teams. But back into the federation, there's obviously a lot of stuff that we need to do. We have some structures in place. However, sometimes the enforcement of the structures and the procedures has not been properly implemented, or maybe we have implemented to some extent some things, but there's still an opportunity for us to be able to make it better. By making it better, sometimes it might not be comfortable, and especially comfortable for basketballers or for the ecosystem where people have been used to doing things in a certain way. But now going for structures to work, there has to be some level of enforcement, and there has to be some level of acceptability to be able to work within structures. That's something that we're still struggling with. Why? Because we have been so used to operating in a certain way, in certain aspects. And so getting properly constituted enforcement of some of the structures that we have has really not been easy. And that's a challenge that we're improving on it day by day. We are not yet there. But I believe going into the future, we'll soon find that level playing field, and we'll soon find that area that we could really be able to say, now our structures are in place and we are able to enforce our structures. If you look at also some of the things is about understanding of the game. This is a very basic thing. But I've been in Nyayo where people are complaining about very many small things that maybe the referee has called or not called or what. And I have realized that it's not because the referee is wrong, but sometimes it's because even us within basketball, we don't understand the rules of the game.
Yes.
We are not updating ourselves. We are not updating ourselves on the rules of the game that are there. Every year there's updating of the rules of the game. Yeah, and are we, even as players, as coaches, as team managers, following on that? Sometimes we are not, and so everybody is thinking, okay, that should not have been 0.01 second. It should have been, and I'm thinking, okay, have you read the rules? Do you know the rules of the game? And sometimes that keeps on going on a back and forth. So it's a very basic thing, by the way. But it catches me. It has caught me off guard a number of times, because I've wondered, okay, like really, you've been in the game and you don't understand the rules. Yeah. So, and it might sound cliche, but hey, it's something that's there. It's something that's really there, and that really happens. From players to coaches to team managers to fans, even fans, and even some officials. So that's a critical point that's really, really basic. We've been trying also to improve our level of communication. Not we are not yet there also on that, and also the reason being that sometimes also getting data from our ecosystem has not been easy.
Yeah.
Some simple things. Creating a database is what we've been focusing on the last couple of
Yeah,
years.
that one kwanza.
You send out you send out Google Sheets, you send out requests for people to update their data, but it doesn't come back. People are not willing to communicate their data sometimes, so it's not easy. Also, it's work in progress, and I'm sure we're gonna get there, because we have been quite successful in creating different databases for different groups and categories in the game. And
Nice.
this is something that will continue happening, obviously, into the future. I'm proud to say that at least right now we can confidently say as a federation that, for example, we know the current under 16s, we know the current under 18s, we know the current under 21s, we know the current under 23s, we know some of the senior players in the game. So having that database in place has been a very critical turning point for us, but it's still a challenge, obviously, getting that information coming the right way and in the proper format. But like I said, everything is a continuous process, and we're not giving up on it. We'll still continue to keep building on that. Also, just looking at how to promote the game and to commercialize the game. We are not yet there. But like they say, sometimes you cannot do everything in one go.
Yeah.
Rome was not built in a day. So
In a
we
day.
have intentionally taken certain decisions as a federation to focus on certain things. And then as we're focusing on those things, then we are building the foundations for all the other things that need to be built. We've not had, for example, something also that's quite basic. We've had, for example, a website that we didn't think was the greatest, but it's been there. It was launched it was a soft launch some time ago. We are in the process of rebuilding it and just enhancing it to make sure that it's it's also appealing to stakeholders, it's appealing to the general public. So that's a process that's also underway. We've been looking at things like, obviously, one of the biggest things for us now, and going into the next into the next few years, should be actually streamlining also the league
Yes.
format, the league and everything about the league, all the way from registration, registration of players, registration of teams, transfer of players, fixtures. Something else that's really been big and has really been quite problematic. But once we get into the next phases of especially digitization, we're going to see that area really being streamlined. But then again, like I say, change is not easy. It comes with a lot of pushback. It comes with a lot of pushback. And even with that pushback being there, we have been saying we'll take baby steps and try to see as much as possible where we can be able to get to, in the next couple of years. So it's a process, and where we have done well, we are just enhancing what is already there to make it a little bit better. I'm sure you've also seen one of the other things that we have done is, as much as possible, trying to get participation of any of our national teams in international tournaments. And
Yes.
in the last few years, couple of years, we have had, I think, 100% participation on continental championships. It's not been easy. It takes a lot of effort to be able also to convince, for example, the Ministry of Sports, to convince the key stakeholders. But I must say, we're really, really grateful to the Ministry of Sports for being very supportive to us on that. It's not something that can happen just with the click of a finger, but it takes a lot of effort also. It takes a lot of behind the scenes sometimes to get things to happen, to be able to push for certain approvals to happen. But we have really been able to ensure, from the youth development, the youth teams all the way to the senior teams. And I don't think we have missed any opportunity. I mean, the under 16s have been going out, the under 18s have been going out, under 21 this year for 3x3, under 23 for the 3x3 Nations League that they have been participating in consistently the last 3 to 4 years. If you look at the senior teams, have been participating also in the AfroBasket qualifiers, and for the men, the World Cup qualifiers. We might have had challenges here and there, but the challenges are things that can be worked on going into the future. But where are we? I must say that we have really been trying to move the needle in those spaces. One of the other key challenges that obviously we are facing, and we will, it's about working collaboratively with other key stakeholders and also county basketball associations, as well as county governments, is infrastructure. And infrastructure is not an easy thing to turn around very quickly. But working in partnership with county associations, private companies, there's been some progress also coming through in that space. It's not as fast as we would like it to be, but it's coming along. You can see that there's a number of courts that have gone up in Nairobi and other parts of the country. Mombasa is also doing quite a number of courts. Some of the counties that are active have seen basketball courts coming up. And one of the key discussions we are also trying to see and trying to have with other key stakeholders is, for example, trying to push within our spaces, but also using other organizations to see if we can get an increase in the number of indoor arenas that we have, really, because we can all attest now Nyayo has become too small for us for our
Yeah, as you can see, even during the finals, it was packed.
Yes, it was packed, and
But that's also that is what you want to see.
Yes, that's what we want to see. It's a good problem to have, to be honest. And it's something that now we have to start looking at what next. So yes, we now know Nyayo can get jam-packed to levels that we cannot be able to manage. We've had to send people home and tell them, sorry, but you can't come in. And now we've got to look at what's the next place, and how can we be able to fit into that space? Is it Kasarani? Is it Ulinzi Sports Complex? It still needs some work to be done. So infrastructure is something that is a continuous process, and it needs heavy investment. And with heavy investment, it means that there's got to be a lot of partners coming in, and a lot of Yeah, and just a lot of collaborations coming in, and partnerships. So
Yeah. And it's
yeah.
true. It's true actually what you're talking about, because that is like a very huge vision that you can't just say, we'll be able to do it as KBF or even just maybe the government. It's first of all, the game is growing. As you've said, players' skills are improving, teams are creating. In fact, team play is improving, like what you've seen with Thunder. They are creating a fan base, so it means we have fans. Like maybe in most of the games, especially like premier games, we have a fan base. Now you can actually go out there and say, we need to have a home. We need to have a bigger stadium or gym or something. So it is easy to bring in partners, because now they can see the value. Because what you said is very true, and I agree, kabisa. We must improve in terms of our skills, and even that's just discipline of how we play. Because I've said it a number of times. If you are a keen basketball player and you look at how Thunder play, they are not doing like extraordinary things. They're just like in alignment. There's accountability. Everybody knows their role, and they've been doing this. Like even if the sets that they call, they've been doing this over a long period of time. Every day they're working on this. They're working on this. So by the time they come to play, it is automatic. They're just enjoying themselves. And people love those. Oh, highlights. Oh, there's a dunk. Oh, somebody makes a 3 point. And that is why now Dio is a celebrity. Adera now has a clothing line hapo hivi anauza majampa. He's a celebrity. Griff did not play any game. But for me, when he made that shot in the finals, I was like, it was worth watching that game. Because as you said, for example, for me, I wanted to watch Griff play because I know I've played with Griff in the same team. I even told him, I know him when it comes to playoff. He switches. There's a switch that comes on. So I wanted to see that, and that is why I was watching those games, because I want to see Griff play. I want to see how these guys play, how disciplined they are. So what you said is true. We grow ourselves, tuweke hizi structure zetu kwanza sisi vizuri, and then now we can actually go out there and try and get some partnerships, and eventually that will grow the game venye umesema tu. And I know si kazi rahisi. Hata mimi nilikuanga hiyo squad ya kitambo ya KBF, but as you continue to understand things, as you continue to grow, unakuja unaona manze si rahisi venye tunafikiria, especially when I went and checked the number of federations that we have from other sports, and the Ministry of Sport is supposed to support each and every. Now if you look at the funding that they get from the government, and then you try and see, you're like, jama, hapa lazima tu partnerships. Ministry of Sports cannot do it, cannot do it alone. Hiyo ndio reality. So hata sisi tuko na kazi side yetu, especially that part of improving our skill level. Very 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 important. Huwezi kuwa uko premier na ujue kuweka screen venye dribble ile basic hakuna, unajua like mtu hawezi kuja kukuwatch. Kwanza umesema vizuri sana, you are coming to watch you're not coming to watch the English Premier League, you're going to watch a specific player, and that is true. That is, yani hapo ni kazi kwetu pia. So guys, if you're watching the episode up to this moment, asanteni sana. It's already a great episode. Already nimelearn vitu mingi from Angie, especially hiyo part ya KBF, the point guard position. So if you're getting value, subscribe. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers. I think I have like 40 something to go. So subscribe, comment, share, and if there's somebody you want me to host on the show, please let me know. Now, as we go outside our country a little bit, there's this thing that is really growing, man. And even in a few weeks, I think I'll host another great guy who's hosting a lot of 3-on-3 tournaments in Kenya. So 3-on-3 is really growing. And it's something that I feel like as the Kenya Basketball Federation, I feel like it's something that you're focused on more, because I've seen you've put our players to participate in different competition. Now with you being you've been able to travel outside, you've watched other tournaments? You've gone to other countries. What
It's
have you
locked.
seen is like maybe a trend
Fast
in
break.
this 3-on-3? Is this something
Good
that
extra
is going
pass
to
by
grow? Maybe tufike mahali hata kwenye tuko na league ya 3-on-3.
Brings Egypt
What have
within
you seen
one.
outside there?
And then 2 points. Wanyama. The ball for the win.
That Kenya, I must say, has really grown in the 3x3 space, and not many people know, but we've actually participated in 2 World Cups, 1 World Championship,
Yes.
for both the men and the ladies. But not many people know that, probably know that. So with the growth of 3x3, I think Kenya was one of the African countries that first embraced it quickly and started to grow it. There's obviously an opportunity to start a 3x3 league, and it's something we have really been thinking.
Unafaa mwanze hiyo kitu. Maana mimi nikipata investors naweza waambia wewe naweza kuja KBF niambie bana wewe tufanye hii kitu, because it is like the big 3. I normally look at those games and I'm like, and you see the fan base, man, I'm like, hii kitu tunaweza bana, we can do it. But I know the process, but it's possible.
Yes. So one of the things, there's a number of things that might need to happen into the future for 3x3. First of all is investment, and I like the fact that now in JSS and in KSSA, 3x3 is being played in at those levels. So which means that at least now the rules and how to play 3x3 is getting to lower levels. We might need to start having professional teams that are just 3x3 teams. And what I've seen in other countries is that 3x3 players do not necessarily play 5-on-5.
Yes.
Here we are still struggling to get in between players playing 3x3 who can be able to play. I mean, players who play 5-on-5 who can be able to play 3x3, who can be able to play 3x3. But we've seen in other countries, some teams first are professional, just 3x3 teams, and they go across countries. They go across within their own. They travel within their own country. They also travel outside their countries just to play 3x3. So that's a level that we might need to get to in future, and be able to say that, you know, who are the players who are 3x3 players and who are the players who will be playing 5-on-5. With our limited pool of players, that is not happening right now. But it's something that we would want to see going into the future. Preparation for 3x3 would also need to be very different, including getting the teams to go also and participate in as many games as possible and get into as many game situations as possible. And going back to the professionalization of some of the 3x3 teams, what happens also in other countries is you see these players, because they're not playing 5-on-5, so they're crisscrossing the globe, playing 3x3 championships from here to France to Denmark next week. The following week they're in another city. The next one they're in another city, etc. When France last year, I asked the French team how they're getting all of this, and they told me their 3x3 players first are on contract to play 3x3. Their national 3x3 team. They're on contract to play 3x3 only. So they don't play for any club, any 5-on-5. Their job is to play 3x3.
Hiyo ni poa bana. To tufike huko siku moja. Hey, that is good.
So
Uh-huh.
it's something
What?
that might need to be done, and I think if you look at even how the sevens team at some point ended up becoming very successful in rugby in Kenya, is those players were only playing, were on contract. At some point they were on contract and they were being paid salaries just to play sevens. So that's something that I guess in the future could happen, and we could see that happening. And that's the only way that, okay, I'm not saying it's the only way, but that's one of the enhancements that would really be great, for example, for 3x3. We've improved our rankings. Currently, Kenya is placed, I think, I just need to look at the current standings, but we're placed top 3 for both men and women. The youth teams, the girls are actually placed first in Africa. The boys are number 3 in Africa, which means that we're sitting in a very good space. And if we continue participating in these championships, it will only help us to get better. It will only help to give us better visibility. One of the other things that FIBA has also been doing quite a lot, and we have participated last year in the FIBA Elite Camp, that at that time was in Tunisia, really helping our players and our coaches to be able to get better training facilities, better training methods and methodologies, and also just to be able to mix with other players across the continent to learn 3x3. We've also gotten that opportunity this year where we're sending our under 16 players to an elite camp organized by FIBA Africa, and they will and the Olympic, under the Olympic Solidarity Program, and they will be able to go to sorry, I've forgotten the name of the country, but they will be able, the players will be able to go there for, just for an elite camp for a few days. So, again, for us, it's using those opportunities to grow the game. We've seen, for example, when Betika came up and they wanted to do something with basketball, and when we were having the conversation, we said, hey, look, why not do like a 3x3? Why not let this event, the tour be 3x3? Previously, before that, when Red Bull had come around asking what they can be able to do with basketball, we are the ones who told them, hey, can we be able to do a Red Bull tour across the country? And with those learnings is what actually Betika has also used to do tours, to do their tour across the country. So if you see with that and the growing popularity of 3x3, it's something that we really we really need to professionalize it when we go into the future. Yes.
Hey, I totally agree. I even did some research on 3x3, and I actually found, I even tell guys who play 3-on-3, I asked them, do you know that when you go to the FIBA site, they actually have a PDF that can actually help you prepare for games? But that one also works best with professionals because they have in season, off season, and pre-season, and their workouts are totally different. They are based on 3-on-3. So another thing that I think that is also growing, and I've seen, is developing referees. I've seen camps, coaches. I've even attended some of the clinics, even statisticians. There's a guy that we're with in another. It's called Nukta. There's a guy. There's a brand called Nukta who are doing great things when it comes to now collecting stats. And I was like, stats are very important from his perspective. You could see that he was also talking about the fact that the best way to grow the game, based on the stats that they have, was the same thing you've talked about, developing our skills. The more we develop our skills, the more we have better stats. Those are things you can actually go with to a potential investor or partner and tell them, Jama, even the game, because he was saying, if it's a Premier League game, even Mato talked about it, and the scores end like 44-39, something like that. Unaona hapo kuna gap ya skill, si hata kitu ingine. Unaona hapo kuna gap ya skill. So even going to an investor ama somebody to partner with you, I mean, it's a challenge hapo. So there's work also on our side as coaches and even players to improve on our skills, to improve on our stats, build a fan base. Kwanza hapo kwa fan base hapo inafaa, yani hiyo kwanza ni kazi kubwa sana, social media na nini, but I'm happy because Thunder has challenged other teams. You can see Umoja picking it up, KPA, Ulinzi wanachangamka, unaona, yeah. And that is the thing, guys. Hata hizi leagues zingine za huku chini, there's some small teams who are very active on social media and they're just creating their fan base, and also that creates opportunities for other people who work behind the scenes, cameramen, videographers, editors, sijui tu graphic designer, photographers, kama Hoops Mtaani, hiyo kazi mzuri anafanya. So yani there's so
the
much.
Ecosystem will grow. Yeah, the ecosystem grows with that.
Will grow.
And
yes.
it's not a matter of everybody doing everything.
Yes.
It's a matter of how the whole ecosystem can be able to work together, and how everybody also can be able to benefit. It becomes a win-win situation. And those are some of the things that we also try to do. If you look at even that separation of roles, for example, from table officials to and referees, it really helps because then as we grow the ecosystem, there's more people learning, there's more people benefiting from basketball, there's more people who are able to play their various roles to fit into this jigsaw. And sometimes I say, people should also not, we should be appreciative of each other's capabilities, and let whoever needs to do, whatever they're doing, do their role. Don't become a referee, a coach, a table official, a statistician, all in one only one go. Sometimes it can happen, but how can we be able to, I think the question for me would be, how can we let everybody grow in their different spaces, but at the same time, let everybody benefit and get benefits out of this. Because the more people are benefiting, the bigger the pool of people who are will want to bring back and start investing in their own little ways into the game.
Finally, now looking ahead, what is your hope for Kenyan basketball?
Wow.
What is your hope?
Collins, that's a trick question. Wow.
What do you hope to see? Yeah, what is your hope? Unasema manze Kenya tufike hapa.
There's a lot. I would love to.
Yeah, just what you can share.
Obviously, number one is to see Kenya making it to the Olympics, which is anybody can say that it's an impossibility, but it's possible if we are deliberate and intentional in the things that we're doing to grow the game. And not only for 3x3, but also for 5-on-5. All the way from skill development, like I talked about it, individual skill development, all the way into the federation. Being intentional in the activities that we are participating in. So that would be the big picture. Big picture. But nice. Then how do we get there is a question. How do we break it down to be able to make it chewable in the years that are coming, and to be able to make strides that will get us there? It starts with youth development, and I would love a situation where there's accessibility of courts, accessibility of capabilities, capability building for the youth, all the way from under 12, under 14, to under 16s, development across the country. I would love to see a situation whereby also there's accessibility to basketballs, there's accessibility to basketball courts across the country, so that the young kids are able to learn basketball earlier on in their lives, so that by the time they're making it into their teens, they already have a level of skill that can be able to get them to enhance their thinking and their IQ of the game, because IQ also comes from early understanding of the game and being able to read the game earlier on. I would love to see, obviously, more coaches more coaches getting developed, younger coaches also getting developed, younger coaches also going out there to coach in other countries, or to coach other national teams and other countries, and then coming back to bring some of the things that they're learning there. I would love a situation also where we are seeing more referees. And right now, just proud to say that we have managed to get at least 4 international referees in the this year. Back then it was only, at some point, only Gordon, then only Kisoin, then now we have 4 international referees, and I'm really proud moment. How can we get more commissioners getting into the commissioning space? How can we grow the women's basketball in line with the men's game, as we are growing and developing the game across, and getting more women getting involved in basketball activities, whether it's coaching, whether it's refereeing, whether it's table officiating, whether it's into the federation also to manage administrative matters. Can we get to a level where we are even 50-50 in terms of in the executive, for example? It's all possible. It's about making all these things chewable. Can we be able then to then start can we be able to commercialize the sport? Yes, we can. Can we be able now to get people to earn from basketball? Yes, we can. And not just coaches who earn from basketball, but coaches, players, referees, table officials, statisticians, etc. Everybody benefiting from the game. For me, that's the bigger picture. But how we get there is really is really
step by step.
Step by step, and it's a journey.
It's a journey. Nice, man. Nice. I've really enjoyed this episode. I've learned a lot. There's some things I didn't know. Kama kawaida, every episode I normally just learn, but specifically for this episode, how to grow the game from our side as players and teams, and also what KBF has been able to do. So I know you have to run somewhere, and first off, just thank you so much for making time for this platform. It was a huge honor, and today's conversation has highlighted your journey of resilience, leadership, and commitment to Kenya's basketball growth. So we are so happy, we're so thankful for sharing your story and your wisdom, and you always have a space on this show. Next time ukienda level ingine tutarudi tu hapa tuchape gunzo. Yeah, but thank you so much, Angie, for your time, and you can close the show by giving us your parting shot, and we call it a day.
Let's work to make basketball better. There's a space for everyone in basketball, but we've got to work together to make it better, and we've got to trust and believe in each other. And with that, I think we'll be able to make progress, and it's one step at a time. We can build it in one day. Yeah.
Thanks so much, guys. That's it from this episode. Till next week, from me and Angie, tunawaambia tu peace. Asante sana, Angie.
Peace.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah. from the blacktop dream to the hardwood stages. We rise to the grind, write our names on pages. No shortcuts, just sweat and feet. Every bounce of the ball, yeah, we build our fate. This is hoops for greatness, mindset in motion. Skills with a purpose, fire and devotion. Teaching the youth how to move with pride on the court and in life. We don't just survive, we lead, we learn. We shoot for the stars, every miss is a lesson. Every scar makes you hard. So welcome to the journey where the real ones train. Hopes for greatness when we build that flame.